Right then, I promise you we'd start and look at this pole position at some time soon. So here we go. We've looked at it. There we go. It's a pole position cab. Ta-da! Anthony's hiding behind the pole, behind the somewhere or other. He's gone hiding, and it's difficult for him to hide in this workshop. Anyway, right. Had a quick look. One thing to do with Atari. Anyway, joking aside. Atari cabs like this, what I've found is my way of getting through them is to build them back up in stages to find out exactly where they're up to. So the plug itself needed a little tiny bit of rewiring. Nothing. Somebody before has obviously changed the plug and left a little bit too much of the copper from the neutral exposed. I've just rewired that and tightened up the other terminals and checked the fuses. So I've checked that fuse. I have also checked the main fuse there in the holder. I've checked the continuity on all those fuses. The one in F3, which is the second one down from the top that you can see there, should actually be a glass fuse. We'll replace that at some point. All those fuses are good. What I've done is I've removed the power from the AR2s, so they cannot power the PCB under any circumstances, because we'll overhaul those before we go to the PCB. But we've plugged it in, we've switched the switch. Let's go around here. And the monitor works at the very least. Well, that's always a good sign. Alright, well, if that's the case, then we'll start and we'll disconnect the power from the PCBs and we'll measure the AR2s and see what they're doing. So at the very least, what we're expecting now is a crashed PCB. Alright, well, we'll come back to that in a minute. Right then. Okay. We've reattached the AR2s to this. And what I had spotted was that the in-feed from the power supplies weren't connected on this. Now, I'll have to go and get the schematics out, because there's no 12 volt source on this. I can't remember whether this needs 12 volts or whether this game needs 12 volts or not. It wouldn't surprise me. Oh no, maybe not, because the amplifier's all through the offboard, through the AR2s on these, and I'm going off memory. So before anybody starts commenting below, if you don't know what you're talking about, shut up and don't say anything. I'm going completely off memory. I haven't got a schematic in my hand. I'm just sort of working through very, very basic. I've unplugged the edge connectors. I've been through these. Now I'm going completely off the top of my head, and I spotted straight away that the in-feed, which comes off the transformer through the big capacitors and through the bridge rectifier under there, giving it 36 volts here, wasn't installed. 36 volts and 10 volts. So the circuit is generating some 5 volts. This lower AR2 here is only getting about 4.23. That could be that we can just adjust it, I don't know. Or it might be because that one's not sensing that it's got any feedback through it, because we haven't got the board connected up here. And this one up here is putting out 5.4, which is correct if it's about right if it's unloaded. And what I was trying to figure out in my head was, does this board need a 12 volt supply, or is it just purely 5 volts? And it springs to mind that this is purely 5 volts because the amplification is all done down here. That's why your speaker wires are there and there. So this connector here sends out the 5 volts up to the board, and it also receives the audio signal from the board back in, and there's 2 of the amplifiers and there's the other 2 of the amplifiers, and there's no load on those boards at the moment. So what we're going to do now is try and plug the boards in and see where we get to. I disconnected the monitor just so if I was powering the machine on and off for a moment that it wouldn't keep starting the monitor up. I'm assuming that we're going to have to recap it and rebuild it and everything and work on that. Right, let's plug the board in and see where we are. Right, Houston, we've found a problem. Okay, so everything sort of tries to get so far and then the voltage just drops to 0. Now, somebody had put this wire on here, which is actually outputting 5 volts from this upper AR2. When it's connected to the board though, you get 0, and we've got a dead short by the look of it between 5 volts and ground. Now, I can't say that that's absolutely exact. What I'm going to do is get one of my other boards that I know does boot up, and I shall measure that and see if we get a direct short there. But that should at least have a diode in the way, I would have thought, between 5 volts and ground on this. So something, unfortunately, is shorting it. I'm going to have to take out pretty much every socketed chip on it just to see where it is. Might stick a spare board set in it and bench test these AR2s, but I think that's as far as I can take it for this segment of this video. For now, it's going to be a little while before I can get back to this, but if I can get it to the bench at least later today, then we'll see what happens. Just before we pack up on this for now, I thought I'd take a look at the B side of the board, so the graphics side, and measure 5 volts and ground there, and we definitely don't have a short, so on this side, which is exactly what I thought it should be. There are some boards that lead you up the garden path and kind of exhibit a short where there isn't one, so Anthony's taken the other board off. He seems to have spotted some transistors that have been squished a little bit and look like some of the legs may be touching, so we'll see where we are with that one very shortly. But for now, I think that's enough. Fully populated on this side of the board as well, which is a good sign. Had some RAMs changed, which is dead common. Yep, it looks like it's a good clean board set, and it's been serviced by Mark from our mate Mark from Retro Clinic about 2015 at some point. Right, I'll be come back to you in a little bit.